J-Mill for Real presents the X's and NFL podcast featuring your host, J-Mill and King J-Mill and what are you like? Last week
we still don't have a
you were
uh
the little fuddrucker last week, and the week before you were the
yes.
narcissist. So what are you this week?
I guess I'm just humbly the guy that's better than you in all your fantasy leagues,
Oh,
except for like the one J-Mills beating me in. But I just mean that in general to everybody else listening, especially with let me throw it out there.
oh,
Ethan
you mean
Shukas
in
is
general? I was like,
yeah.
you're not comparing our overall fantasy records. I know that.
Now, before we begin the podcast, I just want to talk about another game that's really important this week, and that's the game in which Ethan Shukas falls to me in a second league, solidifying my first overall bye. So I would like to thank him for that, humbly sacrificing himself on my throne. The guy's 5-1 in that league and is the second lowest point scorer. I'm 5-1 in the second highest point scorer, and he thinks he's actually got like a legitimate chance. It's pretty laughable, but yeah, that's it. I just want to start with my weekly trash talk of Shukas.
Is that all? No, nothing more.
Um, in Wolf, I'm playing the lovely Mrs. Miller. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna
I
abstain from
I
trash
mean
talk.
to be fair, she's basically tanking for Bryce Young at this point, right?
Yeah.
So,
Uh, well, Bryce Young, so she's going with the wrong pick. All right, I like it.
oh, I mean, she needs a well, okay, isn't he the consensus number one quarterback coming out of college?
Yeah, but the better college quarterback is falling for the Ohio State trap again, and I'm gonna go C.J. Stroud.
Okay. So I will say this. I'm sure that she will do research before then. So I mean I'm guessing that someone who I'm guessing you don't already have your first overall pick made in the middle of October, right? So
Right.
but I
Um.
think him and Biggs are the front runners. But she needs a quarterback more than she needs a running back, right? I don't know. Who knows?
Anyway, so yeah, talking to NFL, dude, 49ers just went all in, huh?
Yeah, no, we covered that a little bit yesterday through the social medias and whatnot, but you know, it's pretty clear that you know, they it's pretty clear that they're in win now mode. It's like they're following the Rams playbook. It's like who needs to draft when
Yeah.
you just have the better players, right? Like
And everybody's like they got a lot for him, and they did. But I still don't think it was too much. So that's just where I'm going to be at with it. And right away when I heard that the trade had been made, my first thought was, wow, that's a great trade for the 49ers. I never wondered what they gave up.
yep.
And that shows you the type of player that CMC is, that you don't really care what they had to give up. You're like, it was a good move.
Yeah, it's it could be the difference between them being the Super Bowl champion and not being and losing in
Hmm.
the second round of the playoffs this year. It really could be. Now, granted, we have to see how the health of the 49ers is always in question. So we need to see how,
Right.
and the health of CMC is always in question. So we need to see how it all holds up together. But yeah, no. Okay, so I will be taking this
I mean, I
offline.
will.
I'm gonna
I,
be King Boo for Halloween. That's why I was wearing this. So
okay. I just was going to let it keep happening.
oh, okay, you know what? I'll let it keep happening.
I mean, I thought there would be like a gimmick for the thumbnail for like the YouTube channel, which we haven't plugged in a while. Follow the channel on YouTube. It's
Yes,
funny.
subscribe, like, comment, follow. Yes, everything. You know,
And if
seriously,
you
I
listen,
do interact with people who comment on those videos. I interact with people who comment on all my social media. Sometimes I block you because you're a troll, but you know.
and in case you were wondering, yes, this podcast also has a video component. You can feel free to watch it on YouTube.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah, but
Yes.
let's talk football.
This Football Friday podcast. See, I got the Back to Football Friday T-shirt on today.
Nice, uh, nice. Except it's Saturday.
Except it's Saturday. Yeah, right. Like I could have worn it any other time we recorded on a Friday, but I wore it on the time we recorded on Saturday. But yeah, let's just dive right in. Thursday night football. You know, quick unpopular opinion. It was just as bad of a game as it was the previous 2 weeks. It's just there was
Uh, I disagree. I thought it was a lot more entertaining. It was
no,
still bad
it,
football. It was still bad football, but I was entertained by it at least.
okay. I mean, I was
I made it to
entertained
the
by the
end.
second half of the what was it? Was it Colts Broncos? Because I actually thought there was
Uh,
excellent pass rush going on in the second half of that game.
well, they lost me by halftime of that game because I had to go to. I just decided to go to bed instead. Um, and yes, it is a Football Friday podcast being recorded on Saturday. But if you notice, I will keep looking up every once in a while because there's there's actually live football. So if I seem distracted, only a little bit.
100%. You're allowed to be distracted by college football going on right now. So,
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
but
So
let's dive
let's
in.
talk NFL.
Let's get this
What,
done.
John? Can you pull up real quick? If you don't mind, sir.
Yes.
What I want to give everybody the bye week teams off the bat.
Oh, the bye week teams. Yes, in case you're setting a fantasy football league lineup this week, you are without Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Gabe Davis. Do we? It gets worse if you want to go throw some IDP in there too. You're without TJ Edwards, Kashir White, Tremaine Edmonds.
This is a brutal bye week. Last week was rough, but this week is real brutal.
But you know what's funny? There's only 4 teams on a bye yet again.
Yeah, it's just
Yes, yeah, they're rough
the
bye weeks. You got
yeah.
Philly,
Some teams are much better than
Buffalo,
others.
Minnesota, and who am I missing?
I should know this.
It's Cooper Cup. The Los Angeles
The
Rams.
Rams.
I might as well call it
Yep.
Cooper Cup, right?
Yeah,
New
the
name of the
Cooper
Rams,
Cups.
Cooper Cup and Company.
Yeah, the Cooper Cups are out. So yeah, what do you got for your first game off the list?
All right, first game off the list, we have the Dak is back and the Lions are in town. Let's see. Dak is back. The Lions are in town. The Lions can't stop anyone from doing anything.
Anything.
They can put up points. Meanwhile, Cooper Rush led this team to 4 victories. And yeah, okay, Dak might be a little slow getting back the first week, but then you factor in the Lions, and it's like, oh my goodness. It's like,
Yeah,
what a way to come back. It's practically been gift wrapped. And you know what? You could say, well, this is clearly a trap game. It's like, oh, or Dallas puts up 42. Like I'm not thinking it's a trap game. I see that the line is that you only have to drop 6.5. And honestly, if it was 7.5, I would think twice, because I don't know if Detroit's losing by multiple scores, but at 6.5, I'm just laying the points at the Cowboys. And just another thing, over unders 49, and I fully realize that there is a chance that the Dallas Cowboys limit the Detroit Lions to 10 points because their
mm,
defense is that good, and we saw the Patriots shut them out. But then I'm doing the math. If I really think the Cowboys are going to score 42 anyway, which why wouldn't you be thinking that, right? Why wouldn't you think 40 is in the range of outcomes for Dallas here, right?
yeah, you could. But here's so why is so has Zeke officially handed this job off to Pollard at this point?
No, because they're basically just stubborn and they're going to go with it the whole time. Oh, I'm taking over on the 49 for the record. Like it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
Zeke is wildly inefficient, but he's still going to continue to get touches. In my I mean, what do you think? Like that's the way I feel about it. They're not going to admit that they were wrong in giving the contract.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. Is I think Pollard's doing enough, and he's going to continue to do more with Dak, and eventually they're just going to eat it for the wins. Jerry Jones can admit that he was wrong, just like he can admit that somehow Daniel Snyder has enough dirt on him that the owners aren't voting to remove Snyder as an owner.
Ugh.
You saw
I
that story, by the way, right?
Yeah, I saw what Jim Irsay said, and really, I just kind of hope that I really kind of hope enough of them speak up. Like I get it that there's dirt all the way around, and that you're opening Pandora's box, but Snyder needs to be removed.
Right.
Um,
So yeah. Anyway, back to the game at hand. I distracted you. Um,
but
you
I
you won me a yeah. You won me a bet. By the way, I bet somebody that I would be able to find a way to get you flustered about Daniel Snyder during a non-news or Commanders segment. So I used the Cowboys to get you flustered.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, go for it. Yeah. Oh, thank you, thank you. I am recording right now, though. No worries. All right. There's no one in there. Just make sure you shut the door on the way out. There's no one in there. Just
So yeah, I like this game for Dak. I think this is a good welcome back game.
yeah. So I'm definitely over on the 259 and a half. He's gonna. I don't know. I don't know why you would think he's throwing for under three here. Like other than the cautiousness returning from the hand injury, but the Lions just make it so easy. They make it
Mm.
so easy to score a lot of points on them. Another player coming back this game on the other side that I definitely like too is give me the Amon-Ra St. Brown over 70 and a half.
Oh yeah,
So it definitely seems very easy to me. But yeah, and it's going to be high scoring. They're going to be passing all the time, and they've taken they've done the right thing. Even the week that he did play before the bye week, they gave more snaps to Josh Reynolds, so on and so forth. So
hmm
I feel like he is a complete go this week. Do you have anyone this week?
I do not. As someone that's owning Zeke in a good amount of leagues, I'm really hoping for a good Zeke day.
I mean,
But
I
I
hope for a
just
good
don't see
Zeke
it.
day too. It really all depends on if he's going to be. I mean, the Lions, the Lions are a team that's good to run on too. Like, honestly, Rashad Penny's only good game of the season. Rashad
hmm
Penny's only good game of the season came at the cost of the Lions. And Ramondre Stevenson had a huge game versus the Lions. And so I don't know why we wouldn't think that somebody with the volume that Zeke is probably going to be getting. The problem is the number is set at 65 and a half, and we just don't know how finished Zeke is at this point. Does that make
Right.
sense? Um,
Yep.
and that's why I'm personally not touching it. But would I be surprised if Zeke ran for over 100 in a pair of scores this game? I would not, because the Lions defense is that bad. So
Right.
maybe a Tony Pollard anytime touchdown feels very right. As a matter of fact, a Tony Pollard anytime touchdown does feel very right. So I'm just going to add that in. But we, we can't spend too much time on it because we're not trying to overload one game and rush through three games at the
Right.
end. So
Yes. So we can move on.
moving right along, we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. Titans are favored by 2.5 coming off their bye week. And frankly, I feel like the Titans should be favored in this game. Coming off the bye week, the Colts have been an up and down team this season. As have the Titans been. I'm not sure that Matt Ryan, like he threw 59 passes last week. Like, I don't know. Is Matt Ryan the type of is he at the age in his career where throwing 59 passes one week isn't going to have him be a little slower the next week?
He's going to be slow or he's actually going to, have it a little bit because he's loosened up.
And
But he's old. He is old. His arm's taking a lot of abuse. He's probably going to be very sore.
you're going against Jeffrey Simmons and Denico Autry and Rashad Weaver, so on and so forth. There's a really good slot corner, so there's a lot of I don't know. there's a lot to think that he could be punished, and Derrick Henry coming off a bye week typically does very well if I remember correctly. So thinking the Titans would win by a field goal is definitely very easy for me to believe. So is there any player in particular you like in this game?
I'm
Are you
Taylor's
touching the
back, right?
quarterbacks? What?
I said Taylor's back, right?
Taylor is back. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry are both there, but we don't have a total listed for Taylor on DK. So
Yeah, I mean, I still like Pittman here. I think I'm hoping that he established that connection with Matt Ryan.
well, I mean, especially since the outside corners on the Tennessee Titans are so poor, it's very easy
Yeah.
to pick the over on Michael Pittman Jr., especially when it's as low as the 67.5. Personally, I also am a believer in Derrick Henry this game, and I get it. DeForest Buckner is there, and Grover Stewart has looked good and whatnot, but I don't know. There's just something I the way that the Colts Titans games go over the course of Henry over the course of the since Henry became a starter, it feels like he dominates one of the two games out of the season, and he didn't dominate
Hmm.
the first contest between the two of them. And that might just be an awful reason to call something, but I feel like I don't know. I just put me down as a believer in Derrick Henry over the 88.5.
Hmm. Okay. Again, as a excuse me, same week I own Zeke, I own Henry, so these conversations have made me a little more excited.
Excellent, excellent. I would also say this for those of you who are expecting the big. Let's see if there was a trap really quick. Like if they have something high for Paris Campbell, because you should not be those who saw Paris Campbell's huge game last week who think that there's a chance for a repeat. Um, don't dilute. Yeah, he's
No.
going against a great rookie cornerback this week, and he's listed at his over-unders listed at 28.5. So DK got it right, and I will not be playing it. But if it was listed somewhere around the 40 range, I'd be like, yes, I will play the under. So
Yeah, 28.5 is really low though.
yeah, no,
I feel like I feel like that's way too low to ever go with anybody. Um,
yeah.
it's literally like three small little, plays. But all right,
Though
so what else you got?
Roger McCreary is a great tackler, so three small plays might not even get to 28, to be completely honest. But moving right
I
along,
mean,
we have the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are home favorites by 6.5, less than a touchdown. The Browns are just routinely getting beaten up by teams week after week. Over under on the game is 41.5. No, 45.5. I'm really not touching that. It feels about right to me, but I don't know. I, and I get it. Ravens are coming off a loss to the Giants, but the difference between the Browns and the Browns are coming off multiple bad losses and just look like a bad team. And the Ravens are coming off to a loss to a good team. And I feel that this is one of the ones where it has to be gotten right. Autumn, could you close that door, please? I don't.
yep.
Could you close the
No.
door behind me, please?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm thinking. I don't remember what happened last week. The Ravens played who? Who?
The New York Giants.
Yeah, well, and I was trying to set it up there. I don't. Man, the Giants looked good. We'll talk about them later. But the Ravens did look okay. I'm looking for a huge angry game out of Lamar here. So give me the over on any Lamar number, and I'm gonna feel comfortable taking it. I
The
think
over
Lamar.
on both rushing and passing.
Yeah, I think Lamar is going to go absolutely insane. Um,
I mean, it's
so
very easy. It's very easy to believe in Lamar this week. It definitely feels like the type of game. Um, I'm personally going Lamar number that I'm playing is over the 1.5 touchdowns thrown. Mainly because I feel like we get the big play from I am playing Lamar, but it's because I feel like but I'm gonna play the props on his receivers. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because we haven't seen that big play in 2 weeks, so you
Yeah.
expect to see it this week.
Yep. So I
Yep.
am playing the over. So getting a little spicy. We don't even have a number for Rashad Bateman. Man, that is crazy because I mean, I guess it would be we haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, so uh, what the heck? We're gonna play the over 67.5 for Mark Andrews just to diversify. Do we want to
Okay.
call it Ravens touchdown? Yeah. Do we want to call it Bateman touchdown? I'm gonna call it Bateman touchdown too. So I don't
Wow.
know if it's gonna be the final play, but I'm just feeling like we're gonna see another one of those 50-yarders this game.
Okay. I'm not going with Bateman.
Okay,
I
no.
am. I'm in on Lamar, but I think Lamar's too tricky to pick which receiver he likes that day.
Hmm.
It's just whoever has a matchup they can continuously win.
Okay, you know
Because
what?
if you
I'm gonna call a 50-yard touchdown pass for Lamar Jackson.
okay, that to me makes a lot more sense if you're gonna go that route because Lamar's just gonna take the lid off one time, and it's
Yeah.
really who's running down the field, and the only one you're guaranteed it not to be is Mark Andrews
Yep.
because Andrews can't get that open that far down, but it's also because of the speed of these wide receivers. I think we talk about the speed of Miami, but the speed of the Baltimore wide receivers is why Lamar can do that because he doesn't even have to be that accurate. He just has to outthrow the defender.
Yep.
And his receivers are so fast and so athletic, they can just make the correction and run underneath it and keep going.
Yeah.
Which I would like to tell everybody if you have 5 minutes, grab a football because most of us have a football in our house. If you don't, go buy one. Be a real person. Um,
Be a true American.
just try to have somebody lob the football over your shoulder and you to catch it even in stride while you're walking. It's pretty challenging. And so I just wanted to highlight the fact that like we talk so much about how these guys can't make these catches. They need to make this catch or that catch. We're taking it for granted. You go back and I just recently went back and was watching one of the NFL top 50s of all time. Man, you go back and you watch those games from back in the day. Those wide receivers really couldn't catch. We've just gotten so spoiled with the athletic ability. But that athletic ability, back to this game, is what's going to come out here. I really okay.
The truth is you pick the passer from the NFL that you're really down on this year. Like it's like they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, so on and so forth. They maybe shouldn't be starting, but they're still one of the 100 best quarterbacks in the world.
Yeah, and
They
it's
still
crazy.
throw
But
better than the best person you know.
which goes back to the Lamar point that I want to bring up. He does he's not getting the love this year, and this year especially. We talked about an early MVP candidacy for Lamar, and all of a sudden it just died.
Well, that's
Um,
because the
I
Ravens
think
started losing.
I think you're going to see a very angry Lamar Jackson, and with his athletic ability, you can't tell what he's going to do. He's just going to destroy you and eat you for breakfast. And this Browns defense is one that I think could be easily exploited.
Yeah, no, this Browns defense got bad out of nowhere. Though it is fair to note that this is Deion Jones' first week officially in a Browns uniform, so he's going to be on the field this week. The linebacking core should be a little bit better, but yeah, I don't know if it's enough. No, okay, never mind. I don't believe it's enough. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm expecting a blowout there. I'm expecting another not so great game. The chances that the Green Bay Packers are road favorites, 4.5 points for versus at the Washington Commanders, and honestly, this is Washington Commanders are a bad team, and I'm a full supporter of Taylor Heineke and whatnot. Um, I don't think Rodgers and LaFleur lose 3 in a row. I think this is the wrong opponent at the wrong time if Washington was going to try to turn something around. And frankly, I don't know. It,
Well, you and I had this
Tell me
conversation
if you don't
last week.
believe in the Packers.
You and I had this conversation last week on the same podcast talking about the Jets.
Yes, but we both picked the Jets.
And I'm taking the Commanders.
Wow.
I think the 4.5 is good enough here because if they lose, I can see it being a field goal.
Okay.
I'm happy here. I'm happy taking 4.5 against Rodgers, and I know he still has Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, but we've seen that outside of them, if you can stop that run, there's no passing game. Rodgers got greedy. Rodgers took too much money, so they can't afford any wide receivers, and now he gets what he wanted.
Rodgers got greedy because they didn't bring in wide receivers, so he decided if they're not going to help him anyway, then he's just going to take the money.
Let's be
I'm
honest.
not.
Rodgers could have worked out a Brady deal where he stayed and he got to keep Devontae Adams.
But
Now he doesn't have Adams.
I'm not sure why you would have wanted that when the team was so abusive to you over the course of the last 5 years before that.
Was the team abusive of Rodgers, or was Rodgers the one abusing the team?
Both. It was
Yeah.
a very catty relationship back and forth, and I'm not blaming Rodgers 100%. I'm putting half of it on him. I'm putting half of it on Green Bay, and honestly, the person who's going to get screwed as a result of it is Matt LaFleur or Mike LaFleur. Which one's Jets? Which one's Packers? I just mixed
Matt is Green Bay
because the truth is Rodgers, if he wants to be, will be there longer than Matt LaFleur, and obviously nothing's going to be changing with the way the Packers are run. So it's because it kind of stinks because I think LaFleur is a good coach, but I don't know. I mean, I'll look.
Hypothetically, hear me out on this.
Okay.
Commanders win. Green Bay says, "Oh crap, we've just sunk a lot of money in and we have to rebuild, so this was a terrible investment."
Okay.
The 49ers say, "Hey, we just bought Christian McCaffrey and didn't give up a single first-round draft pick." So, they call Green Bay up and they dangle a 2023 and a 2024 first in front of them for Rodgers.
Do they?
And they
No, they already don't have that pick though because of Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's right. So what about? I mean, you still can see a scenario where even something like we'll give you Trey Lance and like Elijah Mitchell, and you in a first rounder, and you give us back Rodgers. I could see a scenario where Rodgers is not in Green Bay much longer, and I could also see a scenario where LaFleur is not in Green Bay on Monday.
Oh, I mean, you lose to the Commanders here, LaFleur might be done. Like this, like which is I don't know. I mean, obviously we're talking real football as opposed to sports betting here, but this could go completely south, which is one of the reasons why I think that which is one of the reasons why I believe that it won't. But again, it's not basing this off any analytics or anything, and you're not either. We just have feelings about where this team is at, and I mean, I think we obviously both agree on one thing: the team is in a desperate spot right now, and you don't think they have the fortitude to come through it. And I think they're too good not.
I think they don't have a leader to get through this situation.
Well, I guess we'll find out, right?
We will. I mean, if you lose to Taylor Heineke, you're bad. It's over. Put a bow on it, give it to the Vikings, and they can start resting guys like Jefferson now.
But my biggest thing is when I'm looking at it, I'm not trusting like the first prop that I'm pulling up when I'm going to this game is the fact that I see Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary both sub on both at 0.75 sacks. This is my IDP awareness spotlight. give me a sack for Rashawn Gary and give me a sack for Preston Smith this game, because I don't because the Commanders are that bad in my opinion. I think that
Yeah.
Heineke's going to get destroyed with 5+ this game in the sack department.
Wow. Okay. Have we ever established a rule
Okay. What
on our picks? Have we ever established on our picks if you take a plus 200 or greater, does that count? Can that be your super pick?
a plus 200 or greater? Can that be your super pick? Um,
So say I wanted to take an Antonio Gibson touchdown.
okay.
Can that count as my super pick instead of me flipping the points on one of the games?
Yeah, I think an Antonio Gibson touchdown would count as a super pick. As a
All
matter of
right,
fact,
cool.
I'm thinking my super pick comes from this game, and my super pick is going to be Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith with a sack.
Okay, nice.
Uh,
So we can move on though.
yeah, it's funny how we're really not talking anything about the quarterbacks or receivers in this matches, and
No,
one of us went with the defense and one of us went with the running back. So, but moving right along, we have the New York Giants at the Jacksonville Jaguars. How are the Giants underdogs?
great question.
Okay, so smack
I guess the Raven.
Giants
I
done.
guess the Yeah. Why don't you tell the people what the point spread is?
Three. It's three. It's like so the
It's
Jag.
an even three.
It's an even three. So they are saying on a neutral field that the Jaguars and the Giants are just as good as each other.
Right. And I think one of those teams beat the Ravens and the other one wouldn't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends which Ravens team you're getting, right? Ravens have been a very Jekyll and Hyde franchise. I think anyone in the NFL could beat them, and I think anyone could in the NFL could lose to them.
So
The
I mean,
Giants beat them on one of their better weeks.
Saquon looks good. Daniel Jones is looking like what every Giants fan has wanted to see from him forever, in that he's not good. We know that, but now he's not turning the ball over like an idiot. Um,
Yeah.
he's not costing us wins now, and I don't think I feel like what this shows you is that Brian Dable is amazing. You know, the guy turned Josh Allen. Not, I mean, he didn't turn Josh Allen, but let's be clear here. Josh Allen was drafted behind Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and I think there. Am I forgetting one?
He was quarterback number 4.
So it's Josh Allen was good, but I think it's maybe time to look at maybe Brian Dable was able to get the best out of him,
Yep.
and I don't think Daniel Jones is even comparable to that. But as a Giants fan, my hope is that it's able to keep Daniel Jones at like a Ryan Tannehill level, where he's not going to win you a game, but he's not going to lose you a game. He's just there. And
I like it.
if we could get that out of Jones with the way the defense is playing, and how is it possible that the Giants defense is statistically so good, except in turnovers? They're dead
Um,
last in interceptions.
one of the reasons could be that the general consensus is the Giants have faced the weakest wide receivers in the league this season.
Mhm.
So the passing game yardage is actually inflated because the receivers that did poorly against them did poorly against
Yeah,
everyone.
right.
So we don't know how good this Giants defense is yet, but you don't have to.
But this
Yeah.
this defense was also able to shut down CMC, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Zeke, and Pollard,
But
and Aaron Rodgers all in the
but we're
same
talking
stretch.
about running game there. We're not talking about passing game.
Right.
So
But
that's the important thing to note.
I just think it's crazy that this defense just had its first interception of all the whole season, and yet they're winning. They're 5-1, and I like that stretch to continue here because I just don't think Trevor Lawrence. If you're gonna say that the Giants were able to find a way to beat Rodgers and Lamar in back-to-back weeks, you can't tell me Trevor Lawrence is going to be the one to solve the riddle.
Well, but you also, at this current point in time, like you also don't believe in Rodgers anymore, correct?
I believe in Rodgers. I don't believe in Rodgers' team.
Okay.
But I think, but I just don't see Jacksonville being on that level with. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm starting to just drink the Kool-Aid a little bit.
I agree with you that the Giants are a good team and they should take care of business with the Jaguars. I'm not necessarily sure that I think that because the logic, yeah, I think the Kool-Aid kicks in when you're saying Trevor Lawrence isn't as good as Lamar or Rodgers, so therefore he has to do worse. We've seen
Mm,
flashes of Lawrence already this year where he's actually had. I think uh, twice this season, Trevor Lawrence has definitively been better than Aaron Rodgers, and most of the rest of the games he's been as good.
mm.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying? And we could
It
also
does,
probably
yeah.
take Lawrence's best 3 games and stack them against Lamar's worst 3 games, and actually make a case for Lawrence that way too. So that yeah, I'm just saying that could the loss happen? Yes, but the Giants are a much better team than the Jaguars. With that said, I'm not playing Saquon Barkley versus that front.
Okay.
I'm not playing Saquon Barkley. I am playing Daniel Jones. Um,
Which Jones probably playing?
because Jones is listed as 197.5. So give me Danny Dimes and yeah, he's going to throw through that 200 yards with no problem in this game, in my opinion.
Okay.
On the flip side, you sometimes look for a little bit of a revenge narrative, and Evan Engram's had a pretty decent season, and he's listed at 29 and a half. I like it. I like Evan Engram over 29 and a half.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. If anything from Ingram, I would like a touchdown for him. Um, yeah, I would like a touchdown. He's almost over his season totals, by the way.
yeah, no, it's nice to see him doing well. I'm sure even as a Giants fan, you're happy that he's doing well. So
As a Giants fan, you know what I'm happiest about for him? I'll be completely candid, is that the young man's staying healthy.
yep.
Um, he's had that consistent problem with in his career staying healthy, and he's just one of he was one of those guys you root for.
I would also like to point out this game that they do have sack props for both Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, but I feel Daniel Jones is just a little too mobile
Hmm.
for me to actually take those sack totals. But I do think those will convert to pressures, which will result in runs, which will have Daniel Jones, in addition to his design runs, be forced to scramble out of scramble into runs more often. So Danny Dimes over the 34 and a half also seems right.
Okay.
Moving right along, Tampa Bay playing at Carolina, 13-point road favorites.
I'm gonna just say this:
Yeah, Carolina's bad.
the, the interim coach to Carolina had the fortitude to do something that very few head coaches in this league do,
Yeah.
and that is kick your best wide receiver off your field. And for that alone, I root for him to do well. But this is not going to be that game.
Yeah, they've lost Robbie
Yeah.
Anderson, they've lost CMC, new guys are coming in. Tampa Bay is coming off they are coming off a loss, right? Yeah.
Let me ask you this: who's getting the most touches from the backfield?
Who's getting the most touches from the backfield? I would go,
From Carolina, sorry.
yeah, I would go with Donta Foreman.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not, yeah.
is he in any? Sorry, the over just hit in a game that I'm watching, so I kind of reacted when the player dove into the end zone. Um, is there any part of you, even a little bit, that thinks this game is going to be remotely enjoyable for any? And is there any part of you that thinks there's a fantasy relevance to anybody on the Panthers?
Brian Burns.
Not IDP. No, not IDP.
Oh, okay. No.
just a bad game, right? Like,
Honestly, and people might be saying the whole thing where, yeah, but Tom Brady hasn't done well this year, and it's like, okay, I don't need Tom Brady to do well this year for the Buccaneers to win 24-10 and cover.
yeah, and this is the
Like,
type of game
I don't
where
think the Panthers
I
are scoring 10 points.
you got PJ Walker still quarterback in this team, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you got PJ Walker, no CMC, no Robbie Anderson, versus a Tom Brady that is absolutely enraged right now.
Yeah, he is getting older though. Like I'm not his game has clearly taken a step back.
It has. He definitely does not have the deep ball at all this year.
Yeah,
Um, but I think he's so mad that it doesn't even matter.
yeah.
I
And we're
think
still
he's
gonna
gonna
get a
tap.
Mike
He's
Evans
gonna tap into.
touchdown.
I'm thinking Brady might be able to find a way to tap into Tom Brady, prime Tom Brady this week.
This game is over by the end of the first quarter if he does that. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing I like in this game. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't know at what level the Buccaneers are going to say we're going to throw the pedal down to the floor and show the league that we still have a team, versus what level they're going to be. They're just going to let things go. And maybe Mike Evans isn't really out there for any snaps in the late third quarter through the fourth quarter. So I just don't like it. Also, I think if anything, give me that Fournette total because they're
which
just
one, the rushing or the receiving one? The receiving one.
the no the Russian
Okay, you like over
because
the
they're gonna.
65.5.
I think this game is going to be a game that's over before halftime, and everybody's going to know it, and they're just going to be able to chew clock for the entire second half.
Well, I mean, we're in agreement on Fournette. I just feel like he's done much more damage as a receiver this year than he has as a rusher. Um, but it's maybe I'll make my it's not really a super pick. Can I combine the what he's projected for 65.5 rushing, 30.5 receiving? Can I make that like 97.5 total yards?
Nope, I'm gonna make you make it 99.5. If I'm gonna
99.
let you make if I'm gonna is this gonna be a show pick? Because if it
I will make it 100.5 for a show pick.
you make it 100 point. If we say it's 100.5, I'll say it can be a show pick.
Over 100.5 total yards. There we go. Other things I like this game. I like Antoine Winfield Jr. over his 4.5 tackle total. It's the Panthers are going to try to get some stuff done. If by some sort of chance, I feel like the Buccaneers are going to be blitzing a lot just to settle this one early. So Winfield Jr. is the first person in the line of defense if White and or David are blitzing. So I definitely like that with the tackle total. I do think that there is a chance that in order for the Buccaneers offense to completely take off, which I agree there is a chance that it's going to start because Brady got angry because Burns took him down on like the first drive of the game. So give me a Burns sack. And if you think that unless he's being shadowed by Marshawn Lattimore, taking a Mike Evans touchdown is just so easy. So why not? Right?
Yeah, I'll allow that. The big one for me though is just I don't want to take anything for this game because I don't want to have to care.
Oh,
Like,
fair.
we could be honest, man. Red Zone's not even going to show this game live unless they're actually like in the red zone and nothing else is happening.
We're gonna
This is
see
going to
the
be one
Mike.
of those.
We're gonna see the Mike Evans touchdown.
Yeah, like I feel like what the red zone's going to do is just be like, and while we were watching this game, this happened. Because this one's just not going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not upset about it. I have heard people complaining about like games like this in the NFL. It's like, what are you going to do? I mean, and the Panthers aren't breaking any rules. They're just finding a very very unfortunate way for the fan base to take advantage of them.
But they got rid of Rule, and they did get picks back for Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey. Like they are taking steps to make it better for Panthers fans in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, the Robbie Anderson one's not one that hurts that bad.
Um,
He wasn't very great for you anyway.
and they've already made it clear. It's like we're going to be keeping Brian Burns. We're going to be keeping DJ Moore. We're going to be keeping Jeremy Chin. Like they made it clear that they're keeping them for the next coach to have something to build around. So now,
Yeah,
if
and
they go out tomorrow and they trade Brian Burns, that's a problem.
Yeah, no. So I think what happened here was, and this is just my thinking, is that the Panthers looked at it, said, "What do we need for Bryce Young?" They said, "Okay, we're going to need the number one overall." All right. Well, Bryce Young's not going to peak until a couple more years from now. CMC is going to, he's aging.
Yep.
And what they did was, I think it was really smart. They went out and they're investing in their future, but it means that this year they're not good. So,
Oh,
but it's not a rule break. It's not a
they're
rule violation.
trash. Yeah.
And to their credit, the NFL is joining the NBA, and one of their things that the NBA is doing is an anti-tanking policy. And all all four major sports are kind of working on it together because they realize that it's a problem in all their games.
But with that said, you have to allow teams that are truly that bad the ability to get better too. So it's
Right. Yeah, I think there's a difference though. I mean, in basketball, we legitimately will see teams not play their starters for the
yeah.
second half of a year. Um, but we can move on. What's next?
We have the Atlanta Falcons at the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is favored by 6.5 points. Is there a harder team to read in the league than the Atlanta Falcons?
No, and I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad, and I don't know if they know that either.
Yeah. Um, and admittedly, like beating the 49ers have a tendency to lose to bad teams and beat good teams. So I don't get it. So maybe this is just maybe the Atlanta win last week is more on San Francisco than it is good for Atlanta. It's we could both see Atlanta winning this game, but we probably both feel the Bengals should cover, right?
Right. This is a game for me that, but also the Bengals haven't looked great either. They've looked okay, but they have looked like, not the second best team in the league last year.
I mean, they weren't they were the losers of the Super Bowl. They weren't the second best team in the league.
No, sir. They finished second place.
No, there's a team that gave up a touchdown with 13 seconds left in the game that that has more claim to second place than they do, in my opinion. But
But so overall though, what the Atlanta game, I want to address the fact that Joe
I'm telling you,
Burrow,
don't play it.
yeah, Joe Burrow is good, Jamar Chase is good, but Atlanta's just been sneaky.
AJ Terrell's good too, and AJ Terrell's probably
Yeah,
shot Jamar Chase.
but this Atlanta team is just really sneaky, so I'm saying to avoid this game too. So we're in agreement that this is one that you can watch for fantasy and just stay away from money wise.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna tell you to play anything here at all myself. Like if you feel like you have to, then maybe you should seek help. But so I guess for the sake of the people who like the office pools and whatnot, where they're picking the spread and they have to pick every single game, and your little $5 office pool or whatever it is, Cincinnati should cover.
Mm.
But don't play it unless you're in an office pool. All right, moving right along. We have the Houston Texans at the Las Vegas Raiders, and they're 6.5 point underdogs in this game. And Raiders have underperformed, Texans have overperformed a little. Raiders have the much better team on players, on paper. They're both coming off their bye weeks. The
Mm.
Texans have lost by more than 7 once. Give me the reason why I shouldn't think that the Texans could lose this game by a field goal as opposed to the touchdown they need to lose by.
You could, however, I think coming back off the bye week, this Raiders team is going to be corrected, and I also think that the Texans are correcting themselves a little bit. So I just think it works out perfectly for the Raiders here. It's 6.5, right? It's not even a full touchdown.
I get that, but the Texans have been right around that touchdown range with everyone they played this year.
I don't know, man. I just I like I will tell you that I like Pierce a lot here. I think we're looking at a big game for the kid.
I think we could look at a couple of big running back games this week. One on each side with Paris and Jacobs. But at the same time, doesn't that play into the narrative of a 3-point game as opposed to a touchdown game?
Mm, it does, yeah, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't Derek Stingley has looked really good. Now, granted, going against Devontae Adams is a completely different story, but Jalen Petrie has looked good in that secondary. One thing that could be clearly said about that secondary is they tackle. So it's you're not going to get too many plays where someone made a lot of people miss, and then any long touchdown is going to have to be thrown over them. It can't be thrown in front of them. You get what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I guess you could go either way on this one. I think, as we both said before, that you definitely play these running back totals. You have over 67.5 for Damon Pierce. You have over 84.5 for Josh Jacobs, and with the way that they both have been running this year, you could hit both of those safely in the third quarter, I believe.
Mm.
Besides that, I feel like both of these teams are going to want to control this game, right? It's fair to say that, right? I get
Yeah,
it
they're
with
both.
Derek Carr and
Yeah,
Devontae Adams, but Josh McDaniels is still the head coach. Like,
right.
and they're not the ones calling the plays. He is. I definitely, another one I like too. Max Crosby doesn't have to get a sack to be over. He has to get a half sack to be over.
Wow. What's with the disrespect to Max Crosby?
Yeah, right. Like Davis Mills is no one like this should be over 0.75. So the fact that it's at 0.25, yeah, he'll
Mm.
have that by halftime. Very easy to go. And once again, I'm assuming it's going to be Stingley on Adams. I don't think he's going to shut him down. So I like the Stingley tackle total over 4.5 too. Anything to add to this game?
I do not.
Do we have a get right for Hunter Renfro, or are we just continuing to realize he's fantasy irrelevant for at least this year?
I am avoiding anything with Hunter Renfro because I don't want to see bad things for him,
Yeah,
but I don't think there's good things out there right now for him.
fair enough. New York Jets go to Denver -1.5. The Jets should be a bigger favorite, right?
Yeah, especially with Russell Wilson being ruled out.
Yeah, like I don't know what I'm missing, but like I've watched I've watched a lot of Jets games this year. I've watched every Jets game this year, at least some, and I've watched way too much Broncos in primetime this year.
Way too much.
And I don't know, like one of the Jets do all sorts of creative things with the run because Robert Saleh, Michael Shanahan student. By the way, it, that's the next family tree in the NFL, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan, not Michael Shanahan. Wow. Ooh.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. I assume most people did too.
Fair enough. But they do all sorts of creative things with the run. That feels like it should be able to neutralize the Denver pass rush. Now, yes, if if Zach Wilson had to drop back 35 times this game to pass, I'm sure that guys like Baron Browning and Bradley Chubb would eat him alive. But I look at the defensive stat totals and I realize they don't have a sack for anyone on the Broncos. So it's one of those things where they already know that Zach Wilson's going to throw for 22 times this game and that the rest is all going to be Breece Hall and Michael Carter.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we play Breece Hall over 70.5?
Well, I was going to ask you, has Breece Hall hit RB1 status for you?
Yeah. Has he not for you?
No, he has, but there's some people that I know he hasn't. And I know one of our mutual friends is trying to possibly unload Breece Hall in one league.
Oh,
But
who is it?
the price
Am I in the league?
it's no, you're not.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so but I like the Jets here too. I just think the Jets are better than everybody's giving them credit for, and the Broncos stink. And I mean, I should know this. I should have looked it up. Who's their quarterback without Russ?
Um,
Versus Isabel. Bellator versus Isabel.
nice autumn. Uh, Grimace? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's kind of my point though. Is like
I
Zach Wilson's not great,
retweeted it
but
earlier today, but it wasn't. It was somebody that when I heard the name, I was like, "Oh, that guy's still around."
okay.
it's it's one of those retread guys who's been a backup quarterback the majority of his career. So I guess that could work out, but it wasn't someone who was ever a starter. Let's oh, by the way, I also like Michael Carter over 25.5, but here, say a little more about this
Okay.
game and I'll find out who's starting.
I basically what I'll say here is Michael Carter 22.5, Breece Hall 70. You put it together, you're still saying that the Jets don't rush for 100. I think that's pretty well.
This game has 180 written all over it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Uh,
actually don't. I don't hate a parlay where you put both Jets running backs together and take both their overs.
yeah. And honestly, if they're let's look at their receiving. Oh, it's Brett Rippon for the record. Probably the son of
Ripping.
the son of that Washington quarterback who won the Super Bowl back in 92.
Okay.
So I guess the pedigree's there. Honestly, something you could do even further, like Michael Carter has 9.5 as his receiving, and Breece Hall has 17.5 as his receiving. You might be able to parlay all four together.
Yeah, you could. And in fact, I probably will.
Yeah, it definitely feels very right. And this way, if heaven forbid someone does get hurt, you don't lose it by just one pick, you lose it by two. So,
Exactly.
so it's even less painful. But yeah, this game's all about the Jets rushing attack, and yeah, Keenan Williams is listed at a Keenan Williams sack seems very reasonable too. So just throwing that out there.
Mm.
Moving right along though, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Seahawks are 4.5 point underdogs.
They should be 4.5 point favorites.
Yeah. I'm I don't know, and I get it that this might not be them undervaluing the Seahawks. This might be them overvaluing the Chargers. Does that make sense? But when I've watched the Seahawks and the Chargers, I've been much more impressed with what I've seen from the Seahawks than what I've seen from the Chargers. The line does not make sense to me. And I know a lot of people are still on the Chargers Super Bowl kick, and I'm just like, I like honestly, I don't know how you're on the Chargers Super Bowl kick at this point in time at all. Like, have you met Buffalo?
Yeah.
Unless you're telling me that Kansas City is going to do you the favor again and take them out of the playoffs and then lose to you in the AFC title game again. But even KC looks better than the Chargers. Like, I don't know. And Austin Eckler is amazing. Like, maybe I should watch more of the current. And I know Keenan Allen is supposedly back this week, right?
He is back, yeah.
I only say supposedly because it's one of those things where it's kind of like we don't know how much he's back, as opposed to is he going to end up how much of the game he's going to be playing. We do know Josh Palmer's out this week. Meanwhile, the Seahawks the secondary just continues to get a little bit better every single week. We have we have Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant both in the Seahawks secondary. It's worth noting, right?
Isn't Kobe hurt?
Kobe,
Yeah, I think
Kobe might be hurt.
Yeah, I think Kobe broke his ankle.
Wait, Kobe broke his ankle?
Yeah, I think so. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
We also have Tariq Woolen back there too. So
yeah, I think DK Metcalf and Geno Smith have a better combination than anybody thought they would. In case you care right now, though, Geno Smith is currently QB7 overall and still available in I believe it's 16% of ESPN leagues. So if you got a bye week quarterback, man, you got a bye week coming up, and Geno Smith, there's a 15% chance he's available sitting in your league.
I don't see anything about a Kobe Bryant injury.
Maybe I may have my guys mixed up here.
Yeah, the truth is the Seahawks offense is much better than people than a lot of people give them credit for. The Seahawks defense is improving every single week, and you're getting play from players all over. Let's look at some props really quick to see what we like. Obviously you mentioned DK Metcalf, but I think I'd go the Geno route myself.
Okay.
Reason why is because I know that the Chargers secondary is on the tricky side and that they can produce a pass rush. So it's one of those things where it could force them to one side of the field or another. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I believe Geno will make the play. So either way, moving right here, Geno Smith over 260. I'm definitely going to be playing that.
To put that in perspective, I had Geno Smith week 1 numbers, and I just went back and looked at some of my settled wagers because I couldn't remember what it was. Geno Smith in week 1 was 198.
Yeah.
So that's a 70-point jump for Geno Smith this season, or 70-yard jump. And I think people are finally realizing that he was okay in New York. Geno Smith, I've always felt, and I think you and I have had this discussion a few times. I've always felt
Geno Smith was not okay in New York.
He was okay. He didn't have the best talent around him either. I think Geno Smith's just always been one of those guys that didn't get the shot they needed.
When he was with the New York Jets, he was absolutely trash.
Who was on that team?
No.
From a non-Jet fan perspective, who was on that team?
Oh, it's the team's. It was the year before. It was the year before Fitzmagic. He was there the 2 years before Fitzmagic, and the only addition to the Jets' offense that Fitzmagic didn't have was Brandon Marshall.
You might have me here. I still like Geno Smith.
By the way, I remember that he was with the Giants too, so maybe when he was with the Giants he wasn't bad, but he was definitely not a. If you talk to any Jets fans who was watching the games, one unanimously after 2 seasons of Geno, Mark Sanchez was the better quarterback.
Oh,
I don't think
brutal.
you wouldn't find any Jets fan to say different unless they were a hardcore Geno Smith fan. And it was very easy to think that Geno Smith's career was over because he failed with Philly like the year after that, right?
Right. Yep.
It was very
That
easy
was
that Geno Smith's career was over 3 years in. Now with that said, Geno with Seattle, clearly sometimes it just takes time. Like what, he's in year 9, year 8. I don't even remember what year it is.
It's a long time.
Well, if his first 2 years were the pre-Fitzmagic year, Fitzmagic was the year before Loaf. Loaf is 7 years old. Geno's going into year 10.
Wow. I didn't realize Geno's been around that long. I didn't realize I was that old.
I mean, either way, it's
Yeah. So what's the next game up?
Oh, I'm also playing Austin Eckler over 56.5 because one of the things in Seattle, you gotta. Eckler has shown enough to show that he probably should have been the first pick overall. Oh no, second pick overall behind Cooper Kupp. So moving right along, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a 1-point underdog at home. I could give you all the reasons why Kansas City should win this game, but the truth is simply this: like if you're going off recency bias, it's a pretty obvious spot to think the Chiefs would win, but I don't know. Like San Francisco, the goose egg they laid against Atlanta is something that we've come accustomed to this team doing over the course of the last few years, right? I would take the 49ers plus the point and say that they're probably going to do to Kansas City what Atlanta just did to them.
I think that they have energy right now.
Yeah.
McCaffrey swears he's playing, even though they're like, "No, you're not playing." Even if he doesn't play,
he's going to be the number one hype man on the sideline.
Right. In a game where I think this is the first time Devo is looking and going to be looking into his backfield and be like, I might not be the fastest man on this team.
Well,
I like it.
Devo actually faster than Raymond McLeod?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes? Okay. Didn't know that for a fact one way or another.
Yeah, and I like this, though. I like this game. I think it's a good game, but I also think it might be a trap game for me. Because I really, if you just got blanked by Atlanta, what reason do I have to believe that you can beat the Chiefs?
But we've seen this 49ers team do this over and over again. Fall versus a bad team and beat a good team. Like in back-to-back weeks. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think it's just the Jimmy G of it all that I can't get behind it.
The Jimmy G of it all is using Jimmy.
Like, I just can't get behind the 49ers when Jimmy G is your quarterback.
I mean,
you can be the great.
He's a Super Bowl quarterback. Like
he's doing well too. I mean, he's not good.
What he's played just the NFC title game 3 times and has had more success than Aaron Rodgers the last decade in that game.
Mark Sanchez played in the AFC title game 3 times. Is Mark Sanchez good?
No, just twice. Mark Sanchez only did twice.
It was only twice?
Yeah. We lost to the Colts and we lost to the Steelers.
Is this the Sunday? No, this isn't the Sunday night game, right? This is just America's game of the week.
I believe this is the Sunday night. Oh no, it's America's game of the week. The Sunday night game is reasonable. I don't know. It's not. So this is a better game.
Yeah, I remember when I looked at the schedule for this week. I remember I didn't think that I had to stay up late, so I didn't think this was the Sunday night game.
I think we're going to get a really good game between these two teams. If it's going to be a good game, there has to be a Tebow touchdown. If it's going to be a good game, there has to be a Kelsey touchdown. I know it's a cop out to say that, but really at the end, most of these numbers look close enough to where I don't want to commit to Mahomes going over 283 against that defense. I don't like going under, and Jimmy G at 251 does seem a little, unless it's one of those handoff that Debo takes for 70 yards, that in theory it was a reception. Like, I don't know which are going to be handoffs classed as rushes and which are going to be classed as receptions at this point. I think CMC will probably try to find his way onto the field.
Yeah. I was just hoping for their.
We're going to see.
I hope for their sake that they just can't give him a jersey.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, Christian, we don't have your size. Just don't give the man a jersey, because if you give him a jersey, he's going to go in for like a halfback dive and just be like, all right, guys, it's an I-form halfback dive. That's all we're running.
Yeah, no, it's if they make the mistake of giving him a jersey, he's gonna find the pads and he's gonna get on the field.
That's a guy I'm excited for, because he's definitely a phenomenal talent. He's had some injury issues, but I'm excited for him because if he was going to stay in Carolina, we were never going to get to see him on a good team.
Yep.
And as cool as the story as Barry Sanders in the Hall is, man, it would have really been nice to see Barry Sanders compete for a ring, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would have been nice to see Barry Sanders compete for a ring. My last thing on this game, we know the 49ers run a lot. We know a lot of their plays originate around the line of scrimmage. And we know that Nick Bolton just goes over 10 tackles every week, it feels like. So the fact that it's listed at 8.5 just seems ridiculously like if it's below 9.5, you don't even have to think with it at this point. And versus the 49ers, he honestly probably should have been listed at a 10.5. And I would still play it. Moving on to the Sunday night football game. Tua's back, right? Yeah, Tua is back.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's going to be playing, and the Dolphins are going to cover 7.5.
Yeah.
With no issues whatsoever. Guess what, guys? You get to go to bed early Sunday night because halfway through the third quarter, this isn't the game anymore.
Yeah, as long as you don't bet the over, then you're going to be able to go to sleep.
Correct. Because
this is
taking place for well into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I think I don't see any reason to think that both Kenny Pickett and Tua Tagovailoa do not go over their 223.5 and their 249.5.
Yeah, so if you like that too, then that now you're at 2 out of the 3 you're going to need for one of those nice little risk-free same game parlays that FanDuel is doing on Sundays.
Yep.
So now you're at 2 out of the 3. What's the third pick you're taking for this game? Because I don't hate the over if I'm taking both quarterback yardage numbers, do I?
I think you could hate the over, mainly because let me double check to make sure. What is Minka's status for this game?
Oh, I don't know that.
And I think that's why you shy from the over. Minka expects to play versus his former team. Questionable. Minka should play. Minka will know by Sunday afternoon. Miss practice on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't understand how guys miss practice and then still are expected
Oh
to
no,
play
missed
sometimes.
practice on Thursday last week. My bad.
Okay. So
Pause.
I you didn't say you didn't tell us the over, by the way.
Oh, the over under for this game is at 44 and a half. And that's where the problem is. If I knew Minka was playing one way or another, like I
Yeah.
think if Minka's playing, he's going to stop those long plays from developing into auto touchdowns, which is going to take some time off the clock, which is going to take 2 to 3 drives off the game. You get what I'm saying, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's ridiculous to think that one player could slow down the game that much, but you want the one to pair with all this. Where's the Tyreek Hill number? Actually,
Okay, so
can he pick it over 13 and a half rushing yards?
okay. I like that. Yeah, it's not bad.
We don't.
Because
Yeah,
we've seen that he will take off pretty quickly.
yeah. He's still yeah, and Mostert. Man, the Mostert number's a little high. The Najee number is I don't trust Najee. Najee needs to do it for one more week. Um, the Hill number is the Tyreek Hill number ever high?
I don't think so.
So I think you could also safely play Hill at 79 and a half because he's seeing the volume. Tua loves him.
Hmm.
Pickett loves Pickens, but at the same time, I'm not stacking too much Steelers and saying that the Dolphins are going to cover.
Right. And also Pickens did not have it even before Kenny got hurt last week. Pickens was not really in the mix.
Yeah, Claypool had the big week
Really,
last week.
really killed me in my DraftKings daily game.
Oh, I can imagine. But yeah, we don't know we really don't know between Johnson, Pickens, Claypool, Fryermuth. I mean, he did throw a lot to Fryermuth the first 2 weeks. Did that continue?
Mm-hmm.
But we have such a small sample. Is Muff's number good enough to? Um, Pat Fryermuth, 33 and a half.
I feel like that's not that bad. I feel like that's pretty easily hittable if you're giving Pickett the over.
Yeah, let's also put Muff at 33 and a half.
All right, so there's your 4. And what now let's move on to Monday, which is by the way, the return of the Manning cast.
Excellent, because they are the only things that are going to make this game entertaining. This Patriots defense has gotten it right over the course of the last couple of weeks. Ramondre Stevenson is an absolute beast and the real deal. Damian Harris is coming back to join him this week. We don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi yet, but does it really even matter? Because the Chicago offense is so inept. Um, Patriots laying 8. It could have been 13 and a half.
Regardless of whatever it is, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Bears money line. Not for not for any real amount, but for something small enough that it will make me giggle really hard if it hits. Um, today in soccer we had a Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest, a team that's fighting not to be relegated. Which, by the way, let's bring that to the NFL. That will stop tanking. But they're fighting to not be relegated. Liverpool is actually contending with Man City for a title, in Nottingham Forest with a plus 950 and one. So crazy things happen in sports all the time. That's why you get to bet on it. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bears just because I want to laugh at the Patriots. Real big fan of Bailey Zappi though. Not because I think he's good, but I think he's just he's good for this system.
Yeah.
Um, You know what they've been talking about a lot on the radio up here is if you ask people who's happy why, and you ask people around him why he's doing better than Mac Jones is in this offense, he'll be completely candid and say it's because Mac's a lot smarter than he is. And he's like, so he doesn't ask any questions. He's just told to do something and he does it. Whereas that's the complaint, from the locker room coming is that Mac, he's not doing the right things. He keeps asking why. And there's a big story that broke on Wednesday that he was asked to help the kicking coach pick up the balls because he was out of practice anyway, and he said, "Why? Why should I do that? I'm a quarterback." So, and that's like the players. It does appear from what we're hearing, like what this Boston Sports Radio is saying, and with their interviews and stuff like that, it might appear that the players, no longer are buying in on Mac Jones.
Yeah.
But even if it's Brian Hoyer, still better than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Yeah, still better than Justin Fields.
And unfortunately, when you look at this game as a whole, because we don't know if Damian Harris is going to be there, we can't play a Ramondre Stevenson over/under number right now because we don't know which Patriots quarterback it's going to be yet. We can't play any over/under there, because Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery both exist, and we don't know which one Belichick's going to target in on. We can't play an over/under. There's just a lot.
There's nothing to play.
You have to wait till Monday night. I would say that regardless of whether Harris plays or not, Stevenson over is a great play. But I don't know what the number is right now. So I would say that let's pull this up. And honestly, even for Patriots have some really good people at sacking the quarterback, but Justin Fields is really good at avoiding that. So there's just so much you can't do about this game. It almost makes sense to put 100%. I believe New England's winning blowout, and it's not even going to be close. But it's at the same time the whole route of keeping this interesting. It would be tuning into the Manning cast and playing the Chicago money line.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing here, and
or find a trunk or treat. Like go out and do something Halloweeny.
For those of us that are old, or have to work super early in the morning.
Okay.
This is the NFL saying congratulations. We're going to let you be your best self on Tuesday.
Yes.
This is one of those few games all year long where at the end of it, you're like, I'm equally as productive as I normally am. Thanks.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's we don't.
So
we're not getting we're not getting good primetime games this week. That's basically what it comes down to. You could potentially stop watching football after Chiefs 49ers and miss very little.
Yeah, but don't do that because I don't want to do something crazy to happen. You'd be like, oh, I listen to John Miller, I hate him.
So someone's gonna have a historic night, and Tyreek Hill's gonna go for 15 receptions for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
And it's like, I missed that because he said that. Well, but I told you to take the hill over at least.
So let's talk picks. Let's talk picks and start wrapping it up.
Yeah, let's talk picks. Let's start wrapping it up. Awesome. So when I'm looking through, obviously I'm gonna start with my underdogs because man, I got 3 underdogs I love. Oh no, the Jets are a favorite. Never mind. So I got 2 underdogs that I love. So that makes it very simple. Give me the New York Giants plus the 3.5. Very easy to pick that. They should be favored. And yes, I do realize it's listed as a +3, but I'm going to do the New York Giants plus 3.5 because I'd rather lose than Bush. Just nice and simple. So, and then I will take the San Francisco 49ers Oh no, the Giants would be plus 2.5, not 3.5. It would be the other way around. My bad. And then I'll take the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just gonna write it as money. So
Okay. Yeah, so
give me some dogs.
my underdogs are the Giants plus the 2.5 or 3.5, whatever it is. Then I went the Colts plus the 2.5. I feel like that's kind of a lock for me. And then partially because I believe it, partially because I'm a giant troll. Give me the Commanders plus 4.5.
Okay.
Also, I'm thinking that you're going to notice that Taylor Heineke probably should have been the starting quarterback all along.
Honestly, Taylor Heineke is better than Carson Wentz. We're just gonna say it like that. All the narratives of Terry McLaurin is playing with the best quarterback of his career. By the way, Terry McLaurin should have a good game. We didn't throw those at you, but Heineke likes McLaurin. So, as far as favorites go, looking through really quick, and yeah, give me the. I'm putting the Jets on again because honestly, I like picking the Jets, and -1.5 is definitely something that should be. I always go there every single time, and I'm gonna go there again. If it's over 10, there's a reason for it, and it's under 2 touchdowns. Give me Tampa Bay. I'll lay the 13. I'll lay the 13.5 because once again, I don't like to push. And then finally, when I'm looking through all this, who do I have the most faith in? Like, I'm actually gonna take my third dog because honestly, Seattle plus 4.5 is golden in my opinion.
So for me on the favorites here, you stole some of mine. So I'm going to call audibles and give you backup picks that I have written down.
Oh no,
Um,
just play it. Just play it. We've been
no,
because
no, I'm going to get
some people
no.
value it when we pick the same. Like we have a pretty high success rate when we pick the same. I think we're over 80%.
So for the same, then, I have the 49ers at money line. I didn't know where to throw that, so I just said I was going to put it out there.
Oh, in
I'm not
theory,
actually
they're an
taking it.
underdog.
I'm not taking it as a pick for the show, but I do just want to say I really like that one. The one
Okay.
I'm taking for this show is the Jets -1.5. That to me is just a done deal. And then the audible that I'm calling a little bit here is go ahead and give me Dallas minus the 6.5.
Yeah, there's a lot of great favorites this week. Like it's very easy to pick favorites. Honestly, I think this is a very easy week, which probably means that everything goes opposite and it all gets turned upside down. But sometimes you just have weeks where it's kind of like, yeah, I called 13. I called 13.
Right.
Moving here along to my anytime touchdown scorer. I got a few that I like. I mentioned the Debo, I mentioned the Kelsey before, I mentioned the Evans earlier on in the show, but I'm gonna go all the way back to the first game we talked about, and pick the little less obvious name, and give me a Tony Pollard anytime touchdown. What do you got for touchdowns?
Antonio Gibson.
All right,
And
that's
then yep. And then give me Derrick Henry as well.
I like it. I like it. All right,
Yeah.
moving to I'm gonna double dip in the IDP department because my super pick is going to be give me both the Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith sack in the same game.
Mm.
Give me Nick Bolton over 8 tackles, over 8.5 tackles. You don't have any IDP for us, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm gonna take Leonard Fournette combined total over the 100.5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna round this out. Who's a little Who's a little more fun? Who's a little more fun? Is Arizona not playing this week? Oh no, they
No,
played
they
the other night. They
played
played
on
the other
Thursday.
night. My
I was
bad.
like, they played Thursday.
Give me Brees Hall over 70.5. I'm
Hmm,
gonna double down on the Jets this week.
okay. So I owe you 4 of these, correct?
Correct. No, you owe me 3. You played 2 touchdowns.
All right, cool. Yep. So give me Daniel Jones over 200. Give me Zeke over 65.5 and Pittman over 67.5.
I like it. I put my stamp of approval on all those. Is the Danny Dimes over 200? What is it? 200 and what? Oh, 197.
It's yeah, 197.5, but on all the sites you can do alternate totals and just take it up to 200 and you'll be a little better with the profit. Because if he's going to hit 197.5, he's going to hit 200.
Yeah, he's gonna hit 210. So all right, those are your picks. So yeah,
Hmm.
thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. Remember, if you like what you're hearing, which if you like what you're listening, give us that 5-star rating on Google, Apple, Spotify, whatever you're listening to on. If it's YouTube, remember to subscribe. Remember to comment. Engage in the community. Engage in the community on Facebook. I post a lot of stuff on Twitter too, so make sure to follow on all the social medias. Retweet, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you all for being a part of the Gym for Real community, and thank you just for supporting us. So we really appreciate it. Remember to gamble responsibly. Do not let this be a vice. It's good as a hobby. But it can tear apart your life. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. If you need the help, seek someone out. So remember to only wager what you have. Remember to track your bets and follow them at all times. And remember just to be responsible and seek out the help. 1-800-GAMBLER. They have helping spots on the sites, and tell someone, a friend, family member, and compare notes with other people, because it definitely helps when it definitely helps when you're not doing it alone. So anything to add, Josh?
Nothing at all.
We should have a naming competition for you at some point in time.
We should. I'm thinking after this week I'm gonna be called the Shukas Killers.
The Shukas Killers. I like it. J-Mill,
Yeah,
King J-Mill and the Shukas Killers.
yeah, yep, I like it.
uh,
All
but
right, hit us with a funny so we can sign off.
yeah, so we will now sign off and get out of here. Like Dan Snyder should be from the Washington